everybody, welcome back once again. Yes, I started a little bit early, 10 minutes early, because I'm not going to make this a long live stream today. This is only going to be like an hour live stream, just to let y'all know. But if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, which we gotten quite a few subscribers, welcome to the family and welcome to the community. Today, we're going to have a powwow about what's been happening in July, what I've been seeing, and tell you about a little bit about a couple leaks that I've seen that come out. And don't forget to get your Prime. This right here, 75 cents a can. This is, I mean, it's not bad, but the thing is this, and this is not an endorsement or anything else, because trust me, that you're finding these at the dollar store. So you're not, you don't see them too much in the grocery stores anymore. Make sure you got your drink and snacks, by the way. Alrighty. Which is not bad. It's 10 calories. It's got no fats. It's got 70 milligrams of sodium. It's got 2 grams of carbs. No sugars. No added sugars. No protein. That's where they made the mistake. They should at least have 10 grams of protein in there. And it's got all your calcium, potassium, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, magnesium. Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, a little bit of electrolytes, 200 milligrams of caffeine. Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to get in here. But what I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to bring up something that I said about a year ago. Okay, this is about a year ago I brought this up. The 7950 XTX, AMD's RX 7950 XTX. I put a video out there about a year ago saying, what was AMD hiding? Why couldn't they have put the 7950 XTX out there? Now I'm getting more rumors about it, circling that it might be coming out. And they're saying with the clocks up to 3.6 gigahertz. And on top of it, too, I don't know if a lot of people were talking about the leaks, which we'll figure out the leaks in a moment. I'm going to let everybody get in here. What was it? AMD. CUDA. That's what I'm looking for. AMD CUDA program. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Let's start with that first, and let's go over there to the action screen and see what's cooking. Okay, since I'm just going to push on and move on and get everything going on. And it says new scale tool enables CUDA applications to run on AMD's GPUs. Okay. They got Spectral Compute has introduced Scale, a new tool chain that allows CUDA programs run directly on AMD GPUs without the modification codes to the codes. Reports, Phoenix or Fornix, whatever that is. Scale can automatically compile existing CUDA code for AMD GPUs, which greatly simplifies transition of software originally developed for NVIDIA hardware or other platforms without breaking any end-time user agreement. Spectral Scale is a toolkit. Basically, it's a toolkit to offset the NVIDIA CUDA toolkit. So it's basically AMD's way of offsetting CUDA ray tracing or whatever. Designed to generate binaries for non-NVIDIA GPUs, which compiling CUDA code. So, this will give you a little bit of an advantage, if it's implemented the right way. But I think that's going to be like a little bit of a stretch when it comes to it. So they've been working on this some time, but we'll see how far it goes, and if I get more information on it, I'll make sure I'll let you guys know. But I can tell you AMD's working on that. That's been a project they've been working on some time. They said to everybody, they're not working on it, and then they're working on it, and then they're not working on it, whatever. Now, let's go over here and let's talk about on this website, Notebook Check. It says revised Navi 31 based RTX or RX 7990 XTX and I keep thinking NVIDIA. RX 7950 XTX and RX 7950 XT. Read what I'm saying, and it's right here in black and white. With up to 3.6 gigahertz, you get a 7950 XT, you get the 7900 XT. If they're going to have a 7950 XT up to 3.6 gigahertz, that I want to see. Hello, pseudoscientists. Welcome. Good to see you. Knock right back, man. Good to see you here. This has got me, I made a video out about right here, about the RX 7950 XTX. Okay? And if you guys didn't see that video, after I get done with the live stream, I'll put it on the page and set up, I'll add on the link so that way you guys can see the video, or you can just, search it, you'll find it. Well, I think you're the only one here, pseudoscientist. I think everybody's got a ton of things to do today, but glad to see you here. Either that or YouTube's not pushing my my invites out to everybody. Could be. A lot of problem right now with YouTube. With the algorithm pushing my live videos out, pushing any of my videos out. It's been like a nonstop fight with, YouTube. Nothing I can do. It's their platform. I have to go by their rules. Well, glad you're here too. So, I don't know how else to get the word out to get everybody to come on down and check out the, me here putting all this information up. I don't know how to do that, but I've been trying for almost 2 years to get my platform up to where, I'm watching everybody else. I must be the only one on YouTube. I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I must be the only one on YouTube that can't get over 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. There's many channels I went to and they got tons of subscribers and watch hours. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. Who knows? I was wondering where you were. Oh, I did a video yesterday. Hey, Machine, good to see you. No, I did a video yesterday. It was kind of a different kind of video I did yesterday. But today we're getting back on track and, I'm getting things tied down. But what I keep hearing I'm just going to say this. I keep hearing these talks. People passing this leak around and nobody's paying attention to it. There are people talking about the 7950 XTX and a 7950 XT. So I hope everybody's saving their money. Because it looks like AMD might crack the tip of the iceberg and finally come ahead of Nvidia. Even though I run Nvidia, I'm not, and don't forget, get your Prime, by the way. Cheap as can be because it's falling apart. I heard the company's falling apart. Limited time. Okay. I've been busy, must have missed it. Yep, pretty much. I think we all been busy. But coming down to the fact and fiction of it all, I'm bringing up the 7950 XTX again because, like I said back a year ago, what is AMD hiding? They come out with the 7900 XTX, which to me is a dumpster fire. When it first came out, was a complete dumpster fire. People were returning them because it wasn't cooling properly, and it's complete dumpster fire in the beginning. Don't forget the 4090 was a complete dumpster fire too, especially the connector catching fire. So they both were. So just bringing this up because it looks like, when I was on Discord talking with MTBK about the 7950 XTX, I decided I was going to take and do a little bit more investigating. And guess what I found? I found out that there's leaks about a 7990 XTX. But it's even more kind of, it's got me thinking that they might be using the HD 7990. I almost had that feeling that, AMD took the HD 7990 and started converting it into a 7990 XTX. That they're taking parts of their old platforms, cutting them up and making them into something brand new for today. I almost had that feeling because there is an HD 7990. Okay. But this is like the third outlet I've seen talk about these leaks about, the RX 7990 XTX, the 7950 XTX, and the 7950 XT. Now, what would be more interesting is to find out about this 7950 XT, people. 7950 XT at right here, what they're saying, a 3.6 gigahertz clock speed. That right there is something that I would be interested in, because if you remember Nvidia talking about their GPUs are supposed to go up to 3.3 gigahertz, or no, 3.1 gigahertz. Who was 3.3 gigahertz? I think that was AMD was saying they were going to do that. But I'm like, no way. Let me switch this up really quick because I know how you guys are with the mouse pointer. Always going to be boggling me down with it. So let me go ahead and fix it. But look, right there. I mean, black and white. And I said about a year ago that, you know, they're hiding something. So the way I see it is this. This is what I seen about a year ago. Okay. It's Navi 31, 6144 cores, 384 TMUs, 192 ROPS, 24 gigabyte of VRAM, GDDR6, 384-bit bus. So you know they could make that 28 gigabytes of VRAM with the 384-bit bus. They could get away with it. So let's dig a little deeper into this. Looking at the relative chart, the relative performance chart. Here's the 4090 with the 7950 XTX being 7% faster than a 4090. But what drew me to was right here. Right here. The bandwidth. Now, the bandwidth is only 960 gigabits per second. Knowing that go to the 4090. Let's pull up the 4090 specs. Let's pull up the 4090 specs. Now the bandwidth right here is 1.01 terabits per second. So I don't see how on a relative chart for that to be faster than this. It kind of went, cloak and dagger here. So looking at it cloak and dagger, I don't see how they can pull. I mean, 96 megs of L3. This has got 72 megs of L2. It's right here, black and white. So I don't know. That's got more cache than the 4090. By the looks of it, it's got more cache than the 4090 right here. That's L2, and this is like 6 megs of L2, and this is like 96 megs of L3. So that gives you a total of 102 megs of L cache, not on top of the L1 and the L0. And they really covered it. They really covered this too. And it's got half the shading units that NVIDIA's got. But they're saying it's a 355 watt GPU. Are AMD doing this because of all the new semiconductors are good to be used for AI? Possible. Possibly that they could be adding relative AI processes in the GPUs. They could be like updating and upgrading the GPUs to where they're coming out with like NVIDIA's doing right now. You know, from the 20 series all the way up, with having the tensor cores on from the 20 series up, makes every one of those GPUs relative for AI performance. Makes every one of them relative. So even if you got like a 2060 Super KO and use that just for say, use the 2060 Super KO with like even with the 5700 or 5800X, you're still going to get some good performance out of it. But the way they're manipulating the software is where it runs down the line. So basically, you're looking at from the 20 series up that they're running that new type of software that you're able to get some of the most recent uplifts that you get for the newest series, basically. You should be able to get down on the 20 series DLSS 2, at least. But with them going to be coming up with DLSS 4, which is in the works, I hear, they're going to run the DLSS 3 down the line. Something tells me. And then when later on, after the new GPUs come out, the 50 series for NVIDIA, then, they're going to go that route. But something tells me with stuff like this right here, they're going to use it with RDNA 4. Because if you remember the discussion AMD had, and they were asked this question, are they going to go up to the GDDR7? And they said no. AMD said they're not. And the reason, this is probably the reason why, is because they're going to come out with the 7950 XTX and a 7990 XTX. And then, you got your 8900 XTX they're going to come out with. That was a discontinued one too. But it looks like it's being put back on the docket again. So we might get an 8900 and an 8950 XTX. So it looks like they might be in play as well. That they might come up with an 8700 or start building the 8000 series. It's been out there. They're talking about it. Just like this right here. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody is talking about it. This says, before AMD revealed the RDNA 3 architecture, there were widespread rumors of RDNA 3 GPUs right here. Get out of there. That RDNA 3 GPUs reaching 3 gigahertz clock speeds. But the actual boost frequencies on the RX 7900 XT and the RX 7900 XTX are considerably below 3 gigahertz. From latest rumors from Red Gaming Tech, shout out to them anyway. He does some awesome videos. Make sure you give him a like and a subscribe over there too. Claim that AMD may launch a revised Navi 31 GPU inside new 7900 series cards. Could breach 3 gigahertz clock speed barrier. Guys, AMD they've been hiding themselves for a reason. I'm also hearing too that they might be coming out with a non-X 7900, 7800, 7700. Non-X. A 7900, 7800, and 7700. So, they might be coming up with 3 new GPUs as well, plus these 3 right here, plus another 5 that's down the road. So, how many are you looking at? Like, this year, they might do a gangbuster on everybody. It's the reason why they've been hiding in the dark about everything. They might come out with 6 GPUs all at once. They just might shock the world and come out with 6 GPUs all at one time. And then next year come out with all new 8000 series GPUs. That would set NVIDIA on fire at that point. Even though they're coming out with the 50 series Blackwell. I think if AMD does this, that's going to set NVIDIA on fire. I have a bad feeling about this. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think that this is going to happen? I mean, I've heard this from 5 different outlets. Everybody's talking about this. I had to tell you about it, and I had to get on this story. Because I have to tell you all about this. This would be, if they did this, this would be the most awesome thing they've ever done in the many of years they've been rolling with this. I mean, to just drop 6 or 7 GPUs all at one time. Say, here we go, the rest of this year. Boom. 7 GPUs, 6 GPUs. In between there. People will have a frenzy over this. A big frenzy over this. This isn't all the story. This is only part of what AMD's doing right now. NVIDIA launches many GPUs, therefore lots of videos. Maybe AMD is going to try the same method. You know what, pseudoscientist? You might be right. AMD might have said screw it and just says, here, boom. We're going to drop everything all at one time. We're not going to tell anybody anything about it. And we're just going to let everybody scratch and claw to the top to see what the outcome is going to be. So in the meantime, we're all scratching and clawing trying to find this information. But believe it or not, it's out there. It is out there. If you ever go on to Tech Power Up and look at the many GPUs that have not been released for recent, to put out there, you'll see little background catches. You can go to certain little different outlets and you can see the little pop-ups they put in there. AMD and NVIDIA, they throw out little cliffhangers. You just got to be willing and ready to catch them. And it seems this has been going on for a year. If they're going to repurpose what they put into production and then took it out of production, repurposing it and putting it back online, and then everybody gets their hands on it. I'll tell you, I mean, I could already tell you the 7990, that was a shocker to me. The 7990 XTX was a shocker. I didn't know that they did that one, because that was like, no one was talking about it. But as soon as I, started gathering information, I was like, hell, what the hell is this? Hello, MTBK. Good to see you. Good to see you. So then every time another GPU comes out with or without an X or 3D cached, another video needed to compare. Yeah, believe it or not, yeah, it is. I mean, they could, if at this point where they're at right now, I think you got AMD waiting on NVIDIA and NVIDIA waiting on AMDs to see which one's going to put something out first. That's what I think it is. And that's the reason why everybody's waiting, is because you got one company waiting, on the other company. You got the other company waiting on the other company, and goes back, forth. What if they come out with the 7700 non-X, a non-XT, 7700 non-XT? That's just as good as the 7700 XT. What if they come out with the 7800 non-XT that's just as good as the 7800 XT? Come on. You got 7700 probably have 12 gigabytes of VRAM. You'll have the 7800 that'll still have 16 gigabytes of VRAM. I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, I didn't even look for it, believe it or not. What we'll do is we'll hit the RX 7700 specs and see if it's out there. Nope, not yet. But we are looking for it. I will tell you that much. We are looking for it. So it's not out there right now, but still, if it goes into production, we will find out. We will find out, believe it or not. I'm keeping my eye open for these non-XT cards just to see it, the non-XT, the non-XTX, and so on. Now the 7900 non-XT, I mean, that sits in between the 7900 XT and the 7900 GRE. So you got one right there in the middle, probably. You got one that has next level performance, or just below it, just below the GRE, but still have better performance than the 7800 XT. I mean, that's performance that you want. I mean, think about it. That's performance you want. Everybody told me that, maybe I should concentrate on AMD. Look, I got their 7800 XT. I have NVIDIA's 4070. I didn't shun these companies out. Right here. I didn't shun these companies out. I told you, I'm only going to purchase the hardware. The company's names don't matter much to me. It's the hardware. If the hardware is good, that's the way I'm going to roll. MTBK says, Daniel Owens thinks that an RX 7900, 7800, 7700 might just be placeholders. And UDF Tech said Intel might release another Socket 17 CPU, Bartlett S. Yeah, Bartlett Lake S. I heard about that. with 12 performance cores. I heard about that too. I really didn't want to touch into Intel right now for the simple fact they still haven't fixed their Raptor Lake, 13th and 14th gen. And coming out that Intel made a statement about their laptops stating that this problem they have with the desktop is not related to the laptops, and that's what their statement was, that there's no relation between the two, so they don't expect any problems with the laptops. So if y'all were wondering, that's what Intel said. But they still have the issue of, and believe it or not, Intel is still kind of blaming the motherboard manufacturers, and it's going back and forth, but it's still not solving the problem. If I know Intel, they would have put a restriction on the amount of power that's on their CPUs. They put little restrictions in there, which you can. They've done it before. And that way the motherboard manufacturers know that they only can go up to that certain amount. And that's the end of the deal. I don't know where all this big deal comes from. Oh, I know where the big deal came from with Intel. Believe it or not. They didn't put the restrictions in there on their CPUs. So, but anywho, sucks if you need to upgrade right now. Really should wait 6 months. Actually, I'll be honest with you. You should wait 8 months. 6 months is fine, but I figure in the next 8 months, these two companies, and including, don't forget, Intel Battle Mage, Intel GPUs are going to be coming out too. So they're going to go poof, all at one time. All at one time. Something tells me they're just going to unleash everything all at one time and let it be a big old frenzy. That's what I think it is. I think it's just going to be a big old frenzy. Everybody's going to be like feeding like bottom feeders, going off and trying to get these GPUs. It's just going to be a nightmare. It's what it's going to be. It could be January or March of 2025, but I'm hearing in also too, with the extension of everything, all the new next generation products going to be coming out. I'm hearing that it's going to go all the way out till August of 2025. MTBK. I'm hearing it not just in January through March. I'm hearing it from January through August of 2025. That's what I'm hearing. So they got something big cooking from now till August of 2025. This is going to be their biggest push ever, I think. This is where they're going to put everybody into a frenzy. It's going to be a price war. We're going to have price wars big time. It's going to be nuts. I don't know if you guys think it's going to be nuts, but I think it's going to be nuts. I think it's going to be crazy. All the GPUs coming out at one time, all the CPUs coming out, and everything else. And talking about CPUs, let's go to video cards. Shout out to video cards, by the way. Let's talk about the Ryzen 9 9950X at 160 watts. Matches the Core i9 14900KS at 253 watts. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that now that this is AMD versus Intel on their CPUs. Okay, so thinking about that, here's the Cinebench benchmarks. So what they're saying here is that at 160 watts, this is the score right here, at 47.9 Celsius. Guys, 47.9 Celsius. at 160 watts, well, 159 watts, with a score like that? Really? Is that nuts? That's nuts. I mean, that's nuts right there. I mean, let's get to the brass tacks of it all. I'm going to try to fit this in the best I can. Let's see. We'll do 125 zoom. Okay. Now, let me get my big head out of the way. Okay, there. Now I got my big head out of the way. Now you guys can see what's going on. All right, let's look right here. 9950X, 160 watts. It's only, let's get the calculator out. I'm really interested to find out what's going on here. Okay, let's look at the 160 watts and Intel 14900KS at 253 watts. Oh, they already, never mind. I don't need the calculator now because they got the percentage right here. So 9950X at 160 watts gets 2% higher than the 14900KS at 253 watts. What? Really? Price wars, I'm predicting the opposite. Low numbers, scalpers, big price increase on all high-end stuff. Yeah, that could be true too, pseudoscientist. That could be true too. There's two ways this can go. If they flood the market all at one time, the prices are going to drop. Okay? Because there's going to be so much out there, the prices are going to drop. That's when we're going to want to jump in on that. Is when they flood the market all at one time and it drops, that's when we want to be on it. That's when you want to get the lowest prices possible right there before the scalpers get into it. But I do agree with you. But the 9950X, I've seen somebody float a price round of $499. $499. I've seen that out there. What was it, yesterday? That somebody was floating a price out of $499, and then your, what was it, the 9800X? Was it 99, or was it 9950X, the 9900X, which was $400. I can't remember. There's so many X's and O's and everything else. But I can tell you the beginning price on 9950X, they were floating $500, and then the next one down $400, next one down $300. And then, you know, I don't think they got the $200 yet, but they might. If they do, and there's a $200 one out there, jeez. You know how many people are going to be jumping off of AM4 and going to AM5? I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be pretty sick. Oh, so it's about 2.5% or negative 2.4. Okay, well, yeah, but looking at the relative chart here, and believe it or not, AMD said with this 9950X, they're not done. They're not done at 160. No, they're going to push it up to 200. And now you're going from right here 77% up to 84%. 77 on the 4900KS to 84% on the 9950X. And they said, no, we ain't going to stop there. We are going to take and do it with LN2 refrigerant and blow its mind. And they did. And they got top score. They pushed it beyond 253 watts. So let's go back here. Let's see, we go 250. They pushed it to the unlimited peak, 309 watts. It hit 79.4 Celsius. Wow. They hit 253 watts, 252 watts at 66.2 C. That's funny. That's about where my 5700X hits, running it undervolted. I want to know what they're using to get those kind of temperatures. I don't know about y'all, but I like to know what they're using to get those temperatures down that low. I really do want to know, because if I hit mine, if I hit mine at 100 C or 100 watts, mine would be in the 60s and the 70s at 100 watts. This one here hit at 100 watts is in the 40s. I want to know what they're using. That's really what I want to know. So, 984 Canadian for the 9950X. 9900X was 750 Canadian. Wow. That sucks though. They should give you guys a discount on that. They should bring Canadian prices down to the United States prices. So it makes it fair for you and both of us at the same time. That's what I think. I can wait until at least Panther Lake, Nova Lake, and Zen 6. I know, you seen the reports that are going out on Zen 6? But here, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a, what do you call it? Spoiler alert. They just don't have Zen 6 they're working on. They have Zen 7, Zen 8, and Zen 9. They're working on Zen 9 right now. Spoiler alert. I found that out yesterday when I had a phone call. And I can't tell you who, and I can't tell you what and where and how, but I can tell you I got a phone call. And I can tell you up there that high right now. So it's looking pretty good. I can't running old 1060, old GTX 1060. Pseudoscientists, it's time to upgrade, bro. When all this new stuff comes out, that's going to be the time to take and do your research and see what the benchmarks are and everything else, and just, put a little honeypot over there and then move yourself up to whatever generation that gets you to the closest to the top that you can afford. I can tell you, there's going to come a pattern. There's a pattern that we're following right now. And I'm taking you all along with me on this pattern. But next generation, the next 3 generations. Once you get to that 3rd generation up, that's going to be the ultimate graphics card that you can buy on the market. They're going to take and hit that graphics card at that point with everything they got. You don't think they got those graphics cards built yet? I'm going to tell you, they're already working on it. See, you got to understand the plethora of the whole thing of these companies. Do you really think they're working on just one gen at a time? No, they're working on multiple generations at a time. They could be all the way up past, they could be up to like 15,000 generations, But I'll tell you what, they are pretty high right now. And something tells me that the new naming scheme's going to be coming up after the 9000 series. So who knows what they're going to be doing on the 9000 series. 9600X is 469 in my country. It is sliding down fast. Oh, yeah, it's going to really slide down fast. Because when they push them out, they're going to be pushing them out fast and hard. Because the non-X generation, they're going to push out the X generation. They're going to push out the X3D generation this year. And then next year, they're going to push out the non-X generation. Now, look at the 7000 series. They didn't do that many of the non-X generation. They didn't do that many. So when it's going to come up time, they're going to push over to next year. They're going to push off of, they're going to push probably a buttload of non-X generation CPUs. AMD's got it cooking. They are cooking. They got something in the oven right now that's going to be coming out for everybody. I can tell you that. If you're not excited now, you better be excited, because what's going to be coming up is going to be their push for the gaming community. This is probably the reason why they kept everything low key. And from what a couple friends are telling me, it's low key for a reason. That's all they can tell me. That's all I can tell you is friends are telling me this, and I know their information, where they're getting it from. That's all they can tell me. And yeah, I'm like these other YouTubers that got friends working somewhere and somewhere, blah, blah. Yeah, I do. I have for a few years, because I always wanted to keep my hands in the cookie pot to find out the information I need to find out before the stuff comes out. So, yeah. I'm going to tell you, this right here has me way interested in knowing what temperatures that they have these different wattages, what they're using for a CPU cooler. I want to know what the hell they're using for a CPU cooler to keep their temperatures below 80 C. 80 Celsius is 160 degrees Fahrenheit. If I'm wrong, you can quote me on it. I really want to know. Truthfully, I really do want to know. I'm gonna make sure I keep asking my friends and finding, trying to get that answer. I mean, they're saying this is at peak. Guys, I mean, look at that score right there. 53,557. And I heard that AMD took the world record off of Cinebench R23. Could be wrong. You guys can look it up. I'm not going to look it up, but I heard that. I heard they took the world record. So that's the reason why I didn't specify what I was going to be talking to you guys today on the live stream, because there was so much I got overloaded with so much information that's been going on for the whole month of July. It's just been bottling, and it's just been building and building and building. So, and we still got to get to the end of July. Whoa, we got 11 days left or 10 days left? I would say 10 days left. Some countries you'll be like probably 9 days left. But we're getting close. Oh, well, see, you know, if it's in Fahrenheit, I'm used to Fahrenheit. You guys have to understand that. I'm used to Fahrenheit because me cooking in restaurants for many of years, we only used Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So I'm not balanced in between Celsius and Fahrenheit. It's basically just an average that I can try to put in my mind real quick. And yeah, I could have used a calculator on Google just to find out the answer, but I try to do much as I can in my mind before I decide to go to a Google calculator. So, but thank you, pseudoscientists, for putting that out there. That is appreciated. For a 16 core, sure it's the world record, but scalpers and LN2 are expensive. Well, LN2 is not expensive here, man. I mean, if I remember right, it's not that, it shouldn't be that expensive here. So I heard people around here can get it pretty cheap, so I don't know. But this is what fascinated me. I mean, if we're looking at it, you know, if you do the 14900 KS at 253 watts, right? You know that's going to be busting with a lot of heat coming off of that. And it's not balanced well at 253 watts. I can tell you that. I've already had a few people tell me that too. Because usually my margins are right here, like at about 100 watts or between, usually trying to keep it around 88 watts. But I can, believe it or not, I can bust my 5700X up to 143 watts, believe it or not. So 83 times 1.8 is 149.4, 32 more added, yeah, 181. Our 23 record, AMD Threadripper Pro, 7995 WX, AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro, 79 WX, 96C, 192 at 2.5 gigahertz was 100,295. 100,295. I don't know. I heard bust the record. That's all I know. But you know what's really surprised me? That if they come out with this new CPU, how come they, and I want you guys to think about this. How come they didn't use the new program Cinebench R24? How come they're not using Cinebench R24? That they keep using Cinebench R23? You got a brand new program that they put out, about a year ago? And they never talk about that. It's always R23. They never talk about R24. I don't get it. If Alder Lake is efficient up to 125 watts, I can wait endlessly until after they achieve more points. Well, I don't think that you can get it any better than what they got right now when it comes to CPUs and looking at. The only thing that would probably be a Bronco buster of it all would be the X3Ds, the 9950 X3D. That would probably be the Bronco buster of it all. But hopefully when they come out with, and hear me out on this, hopefully when they come out with the 9950 X3Ds, that they don't have this scheduling issue that they have with the 7950 X3D. That's something that AMD needs to overcome, is that scheduling issue. They need to get with Microsoft, and they need to figure this out instead of putting everybody in a tailspin saying, "Oh yeah, use that Xbox thing." Bullshit. The user should have more control over the amount of cores that they use on their processor than worrying about a program that's eating up memory in the background that's controlling the cores on your cores on your CPU. Ugh. So maybe they need to work on fixing the scheduling between AMD and Intel and Microsoft before, they decide to come out with, more good stuff. Because I'm telling you, for a reason. Say that scheduling problem is holding back performance. And let's say that Microsoft gets it fixed with AMD and Intel. What happens next? Mysteriously, you get 20 to 25% more performance off of your current CPU processor? Because Microsoft didn't want to fix the problem until then? Come on. Give me a break. Something tells me that Microsoft's kind of holding back the performance here. They'd rather worry about doing Windows 11 24H2 with Copilot plus PC that just fell into the water, believe it or not. And that's another issue for another day. But I'm just going to tell you like this. Copilot plus PC just fell in the toilet. It's got big problems up on the horizon. So maybe for better comparability, or it's misleading again, I would test a CPU with all Cinebench editions and other programs. I do agree. Hey, MTBK, I agree. I agree 100% with that. Look, I've always tested my processor here with multiple programs just to see what the weight is, how it balances out, if I got a good balance or a bad balance, to make sure it sits right in between and I get the real numbers. Okay, now I'm not gonna jump over to somebody else's numbers. Hey, if they're out there, they're out there, because I can't get my hands on the product. And if I can't get my hands on the product to test, I can't tell you about it. But if I get my hands on the benchmarks, then I give you guys the benchmarks. Somebody else tested it, fine. But when I get my hands on the product that day and I test it and I put it against their benchmarks and they don't match, then I'm going to tell you it doesn't match. So, and I could already tell you the people that tested, for the 5700X, completely wrong on their benchmarks. Doesn't match, because I ran the crap out of this 5700X first day and got way higher benchmarks on it than they were getting. So I don't get it. Really, I don't get it. It's either they're running it at stock benchmarks, or they set their bias up correctly for, the total benchmarks, instead of giving you 50% of the CPU and leaving the rest on the table. Because that's what I'm getting from this, is that they're giving you only 50% of the CPU and leaving the rest on the table. That doesn't tell you guys anything. That just tells you that you're only using one half of the CPU. If you can't hit it at 100% with your CPU and keep it up there for a longevity of a time, at least 30 minutes, then your CPU has bigger issues than you think. Me, on the other hand, I can tell you 5700X. I kept it up there at 100% for at least 2 hours. At 100%. And I kept it up high at 2 hours. And it hit around 70 to 72%, or 70 to 72C. But it just kept right there. But I found out why it's all the way up there is because I'm running a 240 millimeter AIO instead of running a 360 millimeter AIO, which I'm going to kick myself for, which I'm going to have to spend another $53, which is not a big deal, because I have a plan for this 240 AIO anyway. Goes in my my other PC that I got on the side. So that's where this is going to go, and I'm just going to put a 360 in here. And I'm going to rock it along. So, now that we're back down to where we need to be. Okay. Guys, listen up. The thing is this. Okay. With these new CPUs that are going to be coming out, you're going to need something to keep them cool. I mean, you're really going to need something to really keep them cool. I mean, I have a feeling that even a 360 millimeter AIO is not going to keep it cool. That's my feeling. That you're going to need probably, a separate cooling system. Not unless you undervolt, okay? Not unless you undervolt it where you can keep the wattage down. That'll be a totally different thing. You keep the wattage down to a certain point, a certain level, then yeah, you'll keep the temperature down. So maybe you could get away with the 360 millimeter AIO. But something tells me that you're going to need a cooling kit for two 360 millimeter AIOs. Or basically a whole water block kit where you got two 360 millimeter radiators, 6 fans, a good cooling block, a good pump, that it might work just fine to keep. Then you can run it at full tilt. But to me, I kind of think that's going to be a little too hot. I even think 253 watts is too hot, truthfully. But yeah, MTBK, I do agree with you. They're gonna, what it should be is you take 4 decent programs, or 5 decent programs. I would say 4, ones that, that hit all the margins of every bit of the CPU, that takes and touches on every little part of it, and takes and runs the piss out of it, and gives you that right there, what you can get out of it at that point in time. But that's only going to be like, I would say, a 10-minute test to hit it at its max in the beginning. I don't know. I don't know. Because you got to remember when they're testing these CPUs. They test it with different benchmarks. They test it with different games. That's why you always see them say that they're testing it with 15, 20, 25 games. That's ridiculous. Okay? If you're going to go that far and test it with that many games, then you got two or three people there doing that with you. But if you're one person trying to do that, I don't think that's going to be kind of. With me doing it by myself, I might test it with 4 games. 4 hardcore games. Ones that hit it hard. Not ones that are back so old that are like 10, 15 years old trying to test these CPUs. Come on. I've noticed that too. I'd rather take a brand new game, one that comes out in the same year. Like all the games that come out in 2024. Even the free ones. See, you can run Unreal 5 engine on some of the new games that are free that come out, and you can take 4 of them and just hit that CPU hard. I'll tell you what, the one, what was it? The first Descendant that you guys, that machine talked to me about. That game, that hits the CPU hard. Now that would be one because it's freeware, it's free on Steam. That I think would push the CPU correctly. That's the kind of game that's like, that's the kind of game that would really do it. It's more or less like, what do you call it, that one game? I can see my mind is just going so fast I can't remember some of the games, but that one with the amount of reality, it would hit it hard. For personal hardware, I don't want to benchmark them. I just want to play my old favorite games. I got to relax my body. Well, yeah, but, what I do is a different story than what everybody else does, man. Okay? When you buy a PC and you buy all your parts and you put it all together and you balance everything out and you got it running just correctly and everything's going great, that's all you need. You don't need nothing else. If it goes for 5 years and runs just as great for the whole 5 years, then you built an awesome PC that lasted 5 years. Usually the length of PCs back then, they're only lasting 2 to 3 years. That was back then, around the 80s to the 90s and, going up to early 2000s. They're only lasting a couple years. Because programs were changing. Windows programs been changing. And when that changes, so does the CPUs. The way Microsoft did it in the beginning was that when you went from Windows 3.1 to 95, CPUs changed. When you went from 95 to 98, CPUs changed. Okay, when you went from 98 and up, CPUs changed. They went from 86 to 286 to 386, 486, 586, 686, which nobody talks about. Only from 586 and back. Nobody talks about going upwards. Because that's when it started the cycle for Intel. So, yeah, I do understand what you're talking about. So, AMD, when they jumped on board, I mean, Most of your graphics and stuff off of Intel and AMD were built onto the processors, the CPUs. Yeah, there were cards out there back then in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, but they were crap ass cards. The cards were crap until like 2016. I say 2016 because that's when it started to change. I know people will say, oh no, it started changing in 2012. Graphics sucked back in 2012. So 2016 and on, the graphics started changing. But now, the way the graphics are today, I would say going back 2 years and forward, these are the best graphics so far. So, and yeah, I understand about relaxing because, and understand this too, not a lot of people like to do it DIY computers, build it yourself computers. Not a lot of people like to do that. It's because they think it's time consuming and everything else. So they go out and look for the reviews on which one is going to be like the best pre-built that they can find. That's what people are looking for. The pre-builts that are already Windows installed, everything to go, and they don't have to deal with anything. 52% of the population will just deal with pre-builds because they don't want to build it. They like to watch the entertainment of you building it, but when it comes to them doing it themselves, they kind of not like to do that. They got too much, they got too much to do in their life that they don't want to sit around building computers because they figure that's the nerdy kind of thing, and you know how that goes. Some people don't want to invest their time into building their system. But when you go to use your computer, and this I want y'all to understand, when you go to use your computer and you don't know nothing about what's inside your PC, and you go to install programs and then you blue screen, is because you know nothing, absolutely nothing about what's going on in your PC. Just like that blue screening they had because everybody says, around the world they use one company for the antivirus program. Which, if they're using Windows, they should have used Windows Defender. If they're using Windows, Windows Defender is free. And they do a daily update for the antivirus software. They do it daily. If you keep up to date on your Windows 11, your Windows programming, they do daily updates on their antivirus program. So I can tell you that would be a better way to go than everybody crashing all at one time because they use third-party software. I'm just going to say they use third-party software. And you notice banks, even Elon Musk himself gave that company the finger and said he's pulling it out of all his computers. Elon Musk tells you he's pulling it out of his computers. Guess what? I'm not going with that company. So that's something to think about. If you guys are running third-party software for antivirus, stop doing it, because all you're doing is you're attaching malware. You think it's an antivirus program, but half of them out there got trackers and everything else in it, and they're nothing but malware. So stop loading that malware crap in your computer. Like, I don't even put malware bytes in mine because it distorts Windows Defender. It's not hard to figure this out, guys. You want to know what eats up most of your memory and stuff like that? Is that third-party software. Minimize the amount of third-party software you put in your PC. If you just use your PC for gaming and you just game on Steam, that's the only thing that should be installed on your PC is that Windows Defender and your Microsoft programming. That's it. There should be nothing else that you downloaded from wherever, whatever. You know, you want to keep it nice and clean, don't even install Google Chrome. Keep Google Chrome out of your computer. But I can tell you most of your gaming sites prefer Google Chrome. So that's kind of going back and forth kind of thing. Okay. That's kind of going back and forth kind of thing. Go ahead and put that out of there. And let me fix this too. Oh my God. Fix that too. Oh, too small. There we go. There. So basically what I'm saying is that AMD, I'm gonna finalize this here. I know I went 23 minutes over, but for you guys, I'll do it. You know, I was only going to make this an hour live stream, but for you guys, I'll make it a little bit more. So this is my conclusion to it all. And I want you to hear me out. AMD could be wanting to slip out some GPUs that are the non-X version, the non-XT version. They might do the 7950 XTX. They might do a 7950 XT. They might do a 7990 XTX. And then they go up to the 8000 series, and they might do some of those next year. But this year, they might do, complete out the 7000 series for GPUs. They might complete out the 7000 series this year. I'm hoping they do. And that way, when it comes to the idea, if they do the 7990 XTX and it supersedes the 4090, the RTX 4090, but the price point, if AMD puts the price point at $1,000, then they just blew NVIDIA off of the map. Because if that 7990 XTX supersedes the 4090 by 7% and they put it at $1,000, boom. Everybody's going to be running for that. I wish they dropped a 9900 X3D or something like that. Be patient, September. Be patient, pseudoscientists, September, they said, and, don't quote me on it, but the rumors I'm hearing, they're going to drop the 9950 X3Ds in September. Or the 9900 X3D. In September. Or the 9800 X3D in September. Or 9600 X3D in September. We don't know yet. But it's kind of looking good because they're dropping the 800 series motherboards, in September. The end of September. The 31st of September, if I'm right. Something tells me if they drop it sooner, is there 30 days or 31 in September? See, I don't even have my mind all set, guys. What the hell? September, there is 30 days. Well, the 30th of September. Set your calendar. So, set your calendar for the 30th of September. Because the new 800 series motherboards come out, those boards should be able to be clocked. Should be able to be clocked up to 10,600 megahertz. 10,600 megahertz. You know why I say this? Because I'm going to explain this. Computex was going on. I was watching through the videos. They had one computer that was on display. And I looked right at the tag. And it says it was clocked at 10,600 megahertz on an 800 series motherboard for AMD. Get that. So that's what I'm looking for. Do we need the AX870E, or will the 600 or something be enough? Well, they've already told me that there is massive improvements on the Expo. That's supposed to boost up higher with the Expo on the RAM. Pretty much being balanced up to PCIe 5.0 across the board. So everything's being moved towards the new lineup, not 4.0, but 5.0. They're kind of moving the lineup for the GPUs. They might be pushing them out sooner or later, the PCIe 5.0 GPUs. So, and also they got that new type of RAM, that flat type of RAM that might be coming out too with the 800 series. But they, like they said, if you got a 9000 series chip, CPU, you can run it on a 600 series motherboard. That's what they said. So it's vice versa either way. You can run it vice versa. So you can run a 9000 series CPU on a 600 series motherboard. Or you could take and run a 7000 series CPU and run it on an 800 series motherboard. Listen to what I just said, and you'll understand it. You get a 7950X, run it on an 800 series motherboard. What's that telling you? Think about it. Yes, the Cam 2. Yeah. Pseudoscientist, the Cam 2. But we don't know if that's going to become mainstream. Right now it's in the works, but we don't know if it's going to continue to go mainstream. If it does continue to go mainstream, then yeah, all of the RAM that we got now is not going to matter. Because once they start doing that flat RAM and make it mainstream, they're going to be selling out of, DDR5. I already know DDR4 is going to go extinct soon. So, because if they're moving up to the Cam 2, then DDR5 is going to go extinct in, let's say, the next 2 years. So, yeah. It is what it is. But with that kind of RAM, that flat RAM, you have a better advantage. And believe it or not, it's supposed to give you more performance, better advantage, because it's flat. And for cooling, you can put a heat sink over the top of it, and you can put a fan on it. And you don't have to worry about your CPU cooler interfering with your RAM. So it is a better advantage. That's something to think about. It is a way better advantage. Especially if they can put 128 gigabytes of RAM on one plate that you can take and fasten in your computer. 128 gigabytes of RAM all at one time. Other than, with us having to fight to get that kind of RAM, to get that much, RAM. Problem is the speed. Now, if they're going to run that Cam 2 over 10,000 megahertz, I think everybody's going to be running to the Cam 2. I really do. So, that gives you something to look forward to for the future. By 2030, when it comes to PCs, everything's going to be changing. This is what I hear. And I want you guys to hear me out very carefully. When 2030 hits, everything in the PC realm is going to be changing. The parts are going to be more advanced. I don't know if they're going to hold on to x86 any longer after that. There's talks about that the x86 might be floated out. And they might come up with something that runs twice as fast. We never know. But there is talks about it. And there's talks about them floating out the x86. You got to remember that the x86 is almost, 60 years old? No, it's not 60 years old. Oh, it probably is. Who knows? I can't remember. But I'm not 60. So don't quote me on it. I'm not 60. But I know x86 came out when I was building computers, so got to be at least over 35, 40 years old, somewhere in there. Some people say 60. Some people say 50. Who the hell knows? They come out in the late 70s. As far as I know. All right, guys. But anyway, how's everybody been doing today? Hopefully everybody's having a great day, and hopefully you guys are having fun in the sun, and don't be outside too long because of the heat wave. Oh my God, I'm going to tell you guys, the heat is just unbearable today. 116 degrees Fahrenheit. 116 degrees outside. I was cooking. And I don't have AC in my car. I got to get that AC fixed. I swear to God. I got to get my AC fixed. Got to get a new compressor. Got to get new relays. Got to get a new controller board. Got to get a new... basically the whole system. I got to get a new motor that opens and closes that little thing down at the bottom. Got to get that too. You're having trouble sleeping? Why? What happened? Pseudoscientist, what's going on with that? Yeah, believe it or not, MTBK, it's that hot outside right now, bro. It is that hot outside. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a barometer that connects to the PC. So when you guys want to see the temperature, I'll just show you guys the barometer temperature. And you'd be like, oh my God. Yeah, but you got to remember, I'm down in the bowl. What they call down in the bowl, Southern California. And down here, it's like everything that goes down in here, it's nothing but, it's so intense. I mean, it's hot as hell. When they say it's 116 outside, it's not 116. add on at least 7 degrees. Believe it or not, add on 7 degrees. It is that hot. Yeah, you are. You're way lucky compared to me, man. You're lucky. I mean, if I was like, let's say I was up in Minnesota or Michigan or, Wisconsin or something like that, yeah, I'd probably end up being a decent temperature. But here, oh, this is the desert, bro. This is the desert. This is where you suffer. When I was sleeping in the sun was shining on me, not bad. Well, let me put it to you this way. If you sleep in the sun here, you go from white to crispy in the matter of about 15, 17 minutes. 17 minutes. Look. See this right here? Here, try to get my arm. See my arm right here? This is the back side of my arm. Okay? This is the back side of my arm. This is what it looks like being white. Now look at it. That's from 17 minutes in the sun. 17 minutes. And that's when I'm driving the car. Because right here, this is my other side. The sun always beats over here on this side. Doesn't beat here, it beats here. So whatever's on this side of my body, that's after 17 minutes. Shit. I got beat the hell out of that with that sun. Guarantee. I got beat the hell out of it with that sun. I'm just saying. I mean, you guys want to know, I'm telling you. I mean, that sun really beat the shit out of me. I mean, seriously. That sun is nasty. I mean, nasty as nasty can be. If you were to drop water on your skin and you were to leave the window rolled down and you're driving 50 miles an hour and you leave your arm on the side of the window, every bit of that water droplet will feel like somebody's jamming needles into your arms. That's how hot that crap is. Because traveling down the road is like being in, let's say, a clothes dryer with gas heat. That's how bad it is. It's bad. I mean, with that water on there, if you put just a little bit of water droplet on your arm and you got it hanging out that window going 50, 60 miles an hour, that's like seared needles into your arms. I mean, oh my God. I have no AC in my car. I have to keep the windows up. Guys, I have no AC in my car. I have to keep the windows up. So imagine what it feels like inside my car keeping the windows up. Hello, Sherman. Good to see you. Good to see you. Sunscreen decreases the rate where the skin gets more tone and it holds longer. I tried that. I really did try that. But I felt it made my skin worse. So I don't use sunscreen. I didn't put any on and still managed to sleep despite sweating. Go. Sherman says, and good to see you, Sherman, by the way, if the AMD Ryzen 9 9950 rumor to be priced at $499, what for the 3D version would cost? Probably $699, $599, $600. Probably. I'm thinking that's what they might do. It might be $100 more in a different bracket. So that's what I'm thinking they might do. Just be honest with you. Because look at it, the X version, there's no sense of you paying a high price for the X version, which it should only be $400. It should go 400, 300, 200, 100. Or 175. That would be fair. But with your X3D version, it should go 600, 500, 400, 300, and whatever. At least a $200 one. For, for the people that like to stay on a budget, like have a $200 X3D chip, that would be nice. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. MTBK says, yeah, but don't put the skin peel on a skin peel mask on. Not yet. Really? Oh my God. Sherman, like I told you, that 9950X3D, if you're planning for that, that's the perfect plan. I do agree with you. Because everybody's missing the point. The 9950X3D is overclockable. They're going to make it overclockable. So there's no sense of getting a 9950X when, you can get the 9950X3D that's overclockable. You can undervolt it, overclock it, however you want to do it. So, and with that new 800 series motherboard, yeah. Looks like it's going to be a monster. Especially if you run like a 40 series GPU from NVIDIA or you run a 7000 series GPU from AMD. If you run the 7800 XT with a monster board like that, giving you all that extra performance behind this card right here, your CPU is going to be sweating out your GPU. Your GPU you're going to be GPU bound. And truthfully, you can balance it off to where you're balanced in between your GPU and your CPU, so you're not bound on either side. It's a balancing trick. Okay? Just like I do with my 4070 and the 5700X. It's a balancing trick. So this way you can keep down the bottleneck and balance it out. It's a balancing trick. So, only thing I try to get is the X870E. Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. I'll get that too. But they're going to be expensive though. They're going to have it up in the 400s, maybe 600s. They might have it up that high. I just don't think that's fair, though. Really, I really don't think that's fair, guys. They should, it looks like that the B motherboards, the B850s, are probably going to be the boards, or the B850Es are going to be the boards to go with, because they're going to be like, budget priced, but you're still going to get some of the uplifts off of that as well. Not as much as you would getting from the 870s or, 860s or 890s or however they want to name skew them. But I've always ran with the B boards. Like I'm on a B550 right now. Or I could go to a B650E, or I could go to the B850. They might call it F this time. They might give everybody the finger and say, oh, yeah, you get the B850F. B850 fuck off kind of board. Yeah. Just kidding. But anyway, so me, I like the B motherboards. Don't know why. I've never had an issue with them, so you know. That's what I look at. I want the Gigabyte X870E Aurora's Master, but I can't use it due to EATX to its size. Well, then get an EATX case. They're not expensive. You can get an EATX case if you want to go EATX. Even my case here is EATX. I can shift it over and make it for EATX. So size shouldn't be that big of a deal. If you got a case, if you buy your case, make sure that the top of your case can hold 300 to 400 millimeters going across the top. At least 380. It should be a 380 across the top, and it should be at least 380 going down. You know, so it should be like 380 millimeter square. So if you got one that's like that, you should be able to fit an EATX motherboard if you're going to go EATX. But always remember, get a case that does it that you can fit any kind of board in. ITX, MATX, ATX, EATX, you know. Make sure you can fit any kind of motherboard in your case before you buy it. Never buy a case that you're restricted, not unless you want to do ITX only and want that little dinky case. You know, you can buy a pre-built that size if you want ITX. But if you want to build ITX yourself, it's not bad having that extra airflow in your case for an ITX motherboard. Even though that it's only single slotted for your GPU and it's only dual slotted for your RAM, you can still run up to 128 gigabytes of RAM on an ITX motherboard if that's what you want to do. Me, Sherman, to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Gigabyte. They might have some good stuff, but I'm just not really a fan of it right now because the stuff that I did get from them in a long time ago, it's just not, you know, to me, I'd rather stick with Asus. I'm using the older case, mid-tower, my CyberPower case 3 or 2 years ago. Okay, well, mid-tower case that should fit MATX and possibly maybe ATX, hopefully. But yeah, you would need a bigger case. Look, cases are between $50 to $100. Cases today you can buy with 4 to 6 fans, $50 to $100. Even if you use cheap fans with it, whatever. You plug them in, you set it all up. You can get an EATX case for less than $100. Bigger the case, the better the IMO. Yeah, I agree. So, pseudoscientists got that right. What MSI motherboard? Oh, I ain't running no MSI. I meant Asus, not MSI. I run Asus. I know everybody say, well, Asus, you know, problem with the RMA, you know, I really want to deal with them and stuff like that. Screw that. Every motherboard I got from Asus is still running, and it's AM4 series, but I've had it longer. I have one motherboard that's almost 2 years old. I have two motherboards that are almost a year old and they're still running. No problem. They're AM4. They never had a problem with AM4 motherboards. I can tell you that. But AM5, it seems like they only had that little mishap with the 7950X3D catching fire. That's because of the power issues, but that was resolved and that was all fixed. Everybody makes a big deal of their RMA issues and stuff like that. Look, if you buy from Amazon, get a 3-year warranty with Amazon, then you ain't got no problem because you just deal with Amazon and get a return, and either get a swap out or a refund. And then you got 2 extra years with Asus. You got a total of 5 years of a warranty. Think about it. So the motherboard use pre-built mini ATX. Yeah, it's MATX. Yeah, mini ATX, yeah. That means you only got a certain amount of PCIe slots. So, but getting a full length ATX motherboard will give you more PCIe slots in case you want to put in Thunderbolt, like a Thunderbolt for USB Type C or USB Type A run, But these new motherboards is going to have USB 4. And I think they said 10 gigabytes or gigabits per second, 10 gigabits per second on the USB 4. So it's looking like the 800 series motherboards are going to have some advantages to what everybody wants. Let's say if you're running an external hard drive and you got USB 4, transfer is 10 gigabits per second. So thinking about that, you split it in half, that's 5 gigabits per second for 5 gigabits per second for the read and 5 gigabits per second for the write. So that way, it all depends on what you use for an external hard drive. If you use an external M.2 to USB SSD drive, that's what a lot of people have been doing now these days. Instead of putting it into their extra into their PC, that they just plug it through the USB drive. So. The ASRock Tai Chi. Pseudoscientists, yeah, you're right. A lot of people will go with the Tai Chis. They say that ASRock is real good. Look, I'm not knocking ASRock. I'm not knocking MSI. I'm not knocking Gigabyte. I just like using Asus because their programming simple. They got extra stuff that they tie in with the Asus program. Okay? They got a lot of stuff that they tie in with the Asus programming that gives a better balance, I think, on your CPUs. That's just me. It gives a better balance on the CPUs, I think. Because they got an AI suite that comes with, they got AI suite software that comes with the motherboard. Okay. That's basically like something that's built into their software that's built for their motherboard, other than using like Ryzen Master, which is nothing but a virus. To me, I think it's nothing but a virus, because once you uninstall it, it just keeps coming back until you find where the trigger is, and then you remove that. Guess what? It doesn't come back anymore. It took me almost 8 times of deleting that damn program in order to pull it out of my system. That is nothing but a bug in itself. If I'm going to balance out my, the power of my GPU or CPU and stuff like that, I could use the AI suite from Asus that comes with the motherboard. So I think it's a better idea. You know, you get little benchmark suites that you can use from your motherboard, and most of your motherboards come with the benchmark suite. It's just Ryzen Master comes with AMD CPUs, and everybody's like, oh my God, I love Ryzen Master, until they figure out that they can't pull it out of their system. Because they got to pull it out of the registry, then they got to pull it out of their file explorer, then they got to pull it out. You know, it just keeps going on and on and on until you get into safe mode, and then you got to go in there and pull it out manually, like I had to, in order to get rid of it. So if anytime you got to take and go into safe mode to pull out a program that was designed by these main manufacturers like AMD, Intel, or whatever, there's a problem. That means their program is a cause of bad news. I found out Ryzen Master, and look, you guys can like it all you want. Me, my opinion, I found out Ryzen Master was cutting me 6% off of my performance. How I knew that? Once I pulled everything out of my system that was dealing with Ryzen Master, I gained like 6 or 7%. So, and just like that Xbox thing that Microsoft has, I ripped that shit out too. I ripped it out. Because if it's not in your system, it can't impede the cores on your processor. See, if the program's not there, then there's nothing to turn off the cores of your processor. That's what I did. And that's the reason why I can run all core at any time, full blast. So, but I'm just saying, guys, I mean, there's tips and tricks you can do to make your PC run faster. I run my antivirus program all the time. Windows Defender. I got everything turned on. I'm even logged into a Microsoft account. So, yeah. The things that everybody says, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Okay. I have never had any problems with all these things running in the background. My gaming's been great. Never had a problem. So I'm just bringing that up because there's somebody that asked me that question one time. They're like, why do you keep everything running? The only thing I don't keep running is background task. You can turn that off in your Windows settings. You can turn off your background tasks so they're not running. It's just like with Google Chrome. Google Chrome, I turn off the background tasks. They're not running. Once I turn Google Chrome off, boom, it's gone. It's not running in the background. It's not eating up memory. So, right now, I'm only eating up 12 gigabytes of system RAM. That's because I kind of turned something off that usually refreshes the system RAM and keeps it down to about 5 to 6 gigabytes of usage while Windows is running. So I turned it off. I'm testing something right now to see if it's going to work or not. To see if this Windows itself is actually, when the programs turn off, that it lowers the RAM down to the usage of the operating system. If everything's turned off, it should only be brought down to the usage of the operating system. And that's usually between 4 and 6 gigabytes. But it's been riding up between 8 and 9 gigabytes, and I got to find out why. There's something running that I don't need running. But Windows 10 used to be to where, everything was everything. So, but Windows 11, I don't know. It's kind of been screwy. This Windows 11 thing's been kind of screwy, guys. I'm going to tell you, it has. Going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, the way I got it set up now, it looks like somewhat of Windows 10. That's all I'm saying. So, wow. But anyway, guys, I got to get out of here. I got a couple things I got to take care of today. I know I do this every week, and I always got to jump out of here and do things. But, I always got the landlord, and neighbors and, everything going on. And, they're always saying, hey, I need you for something. And I'm like, what do you need? They're like, I need you. What do you need? Can I get a coffee? I'm like, what? Yeah, they have me running around because I'm usually the one that has the license and, I have to drive and everything else. And one of these days I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, look, you guys are going to owe me a whole air conditioner. Can you buy it? You have me in the car all the time. I want an AC. I want it for free. So that's what I say. So the scientist says, can you go back to Windows 10? Yeah, I can. Believe it or not. I can go back to Windows 10. This is why. I say this right here is because this is the master program that I can clone to a new SSD drive and go back to Windows 10. So that's why I was telling you guys that, if you're going to store something on something that's going to last a long time, that you're not going to have degradation to it, degrading. And you have to understand, processor chips degrade. The platters on the regular hard drive don't degrade. Not unless they get stuck. Then you got to just spank it like a little baby and it'll come back to life. But anyway, yes, I have a way to go back to Windows 10 with no problem. So I'm glad you guys stuck around. Sorry we started a little bit early, but I got to jump out of here. So, and if you've been watching the video here, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put a like on the live stream. And make sure you turn your notifications on so you know when I post the next video. And make sure you subscribe. Because if you don't, then you won't know when I post the next video. Seems YouTube doesn't like me very well. And it seems that they're not being very nice. So I hope they get this message. Please fix your algorithm. I have people that are even subscribed that are not getting my video post. And they do have the notifications on. And I've done nothing to disrupt YouTube. I keep everything legit. There should be no reason why that they're making it a big deal, that their algorithm's making a big deal on putting my videos out. If you don't like and I want YouTube to understand this, if you don't like my thumbnails, then I don't give a shit. Simple as that. So, but you all have a great evening. I'm going to jump out of here and be looking around for the next video, because we'll have a next video coming up in either tomorrow or the next day. So we got a lot of things cooking, but we will see you on the next video.